Well, this is video number 2 dose of how to upgrade your screen and your sync module from a Sync 3 to a Sync 4 in your Maverick Lariat pickup truck. Now, if you're doing an XL, XLT, I'm going to try to get into that later on a different video because there's a lot more work involved in that. So I've got the video here, right there, and that's all the parts you're going to need. This is video number 2, and this is how to install it in the Maverick. It's not really that difficult as far as the installation goes. There's a little MacGyvering you have to do on the screen. Let me show you. This is the original screen, and you can see that it's got 3 little mounts on it. And let's see if I can get closer. Yeah, there you go. You got your 3 mounts, and it's pretty close of where the screen goes up on the dashboard. That won't work as far as like the new screen. Let me just give you a heads up before we get going on the rest of the video on the easiest way to do it. This is the Transit Connect screen with the plastic on the back. Easiest way to do it is to cut off the center portion. You've got 2 mounts right here, and if you bought that kit from Ford Sync 4 Scumbags, it would come with an additional bracket. Now what I did was I took a piece of wood, 2x4, and just cut it down to the exact length that I wanted it, or pretty close to the exact length, right? And then epoxied it onto the mount, and I'll show you later. I'm just letting you know what happened. And then I used a piece of metal to extend this out with a big 1/4-inch screw here, and then it came out, and then I just put wood screws with a washer on it into the top of those 2x4s with washers underneath to make sure it was at the exact level. So before we get going, I thought I wanted to explain that to you. But this is the screen that we're going to be installing, the 12-inch screen. If you go with a had to do a break there. If you go with the 13.2-inch screen, the bigger screen with the newer APIM, then I believe it's going to be pretty close to how you have to do it, but you're going to have to MacGyver this thing in there, and it won't mount as easily on the bottom. It'll just kind of hang there, I believe. I didn't mount this one in. I did test it. Everything worked fine. And like I said, the new 2025 Mavericks will have this screen in it, but it's a whole different dash with no knobs, where this one has the knobs. So let's get going on the video. Yes, this is a Tesla behind me. It's mine. I'll have videos later on the whole Tesla thing, but let's get back to the Maverick. Oh well, Jennifer took my flag down and then asked me, how long are you going to keep this up? And I said, is 4 years too long? And I got the big X-nay on the Einage say. Alright, so the first thing you have to do with this stinking thing is you pry up this plastic piece, the thing in the back, right? I already popped it off. Pry tools, little plastic pry tools are the best. And then you got, how big is that? Yeah, there we go. 7mm, 7mm, 7mm. You got 3 7mm bolts in the back here that you got to take off for the screen. Okay, so you got to pull on it pretty good. There's clips here and on the bottom. So once you pull on it pretty good, it'll pop on out of there. And then there's one, for this screen, there's one connector, right? Because it's an 8-inch screen, not the 12 or the 13.2. Let's see if I can get that off of there. Come on, baby. There we go. And there you go, the screen is off. Awesome. Let's go ahead and continue on with what we got to take out to get the new screen in. Next thing is going to be our AC controls right here, and this just basically pries off. It's not hard to get off at all, because when I replaced these, I had to take it off. So basically you just pry on it. And that gets out of the way. This is the radio module. I'm going to get you a better view of this because this is the more important parts to be able to see. So I'll get the camera in here and show you what we're taking off and taking out. Alright, if you can see, this is the radio unit. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts we got to take out, and then pull these connectors off. And then disconnect these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever those are. All the connectors on the back, got to disconnect those. So I'll do that. So with everything unplugged, I can go ahead and pull out the radio module. And nice, there you go. And then if we look up in here, I can show you. And if we look up in here, here's the module we're looking for, right there. Alright, I got it out. And was it a pain in the butt? You betcha! It was a huge pain in the butt. My suggestion is go for the big one and then work your way around, and then you can kind of work it out of there. But that was no fun getting this thing out of there. Alright, so let's look at this. This one is NZ6T 14G 532 MBH. So we'll look that up and see what that is. But Lord have mercy, this is a Sync 3. And let's look at what we're going to stick in there. Alright, so let me give you the skinny on the cabling situation from going to the Sync 3 to the Sync 4. Okay, so you're going to need the 3 cables that are listed down below. This one's from Amazon. There's a link down there. This is a Sync 3 pass-through cable. Alright. This one is a power cable, and it was actually used on the 2006 or 8 Ford Ranger. This is actually a door lock switch power plug, and then they've just used it for all kinds of different things through the years. Interesting enough. And this is your main cable that goes to the display. Now you can see, and you can see on this, it's got 6 rather than the 4 that are on the 8-inch screen. So this is for a 12-inch screen and a 13.2-inch screen. So that's the main difference. That's why you got to replace this cable. I'm going to say more than likely they had to put an extra power plug and then these 2 plugs in, maybe for resolution on this, but more so power. It's black and red, so I'm guessing it's more power. It uses way more power, so they had to increase the amount of electricity being able to go into the screen, so that's how they did it, with a power plug and then adding 2 more things on here. Now that's just a guess. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and run my power cable up through here. There. And then this piece goes, let's see, that goes there and this goes up there. So I'm going to go ahead and connect the inner portion and then move my APIM inside and connect those up. And we'll see if the screen actually works. So let me get that hooked up and then we'll see where we're at. Alright, so let's see what happens. I've got a Ford F-150 screen just plugged in up here. Yeah, it's a mess. But anyway, here we go. Let's see what happens. Nice. I have done a little bit of programming on this one, so there you go. Testing the cable though. Looking good. Man, that's awesome. Interesting. Okay, so it should go ahead and pick up my phone because it's tied into this APMI. There it is. Okay, so we got Google. Awesome. Let's go apps. Apple CarPlay, Android, mobile health. Okay, awesome. Alright, so now the only thing that I'm really wanting to make sure of at this point, as far as that cable goes that I just made up, is if I put the truck in reverse, will I get a camera? Because if you've got those wires mixed up or there's an issue with it, and there it is, I've got a camera. Awesome! The hardest part you're going to have is MacGyvering in, you know, the brackets, and I just kind of handmade all those. I took 2 pieces of 2x4 and cut them down to like what size I wanted, and then epoxied them in there. So the screen is in there very well, but it took a little bit of finagling to get that the way I wanted it. Okay, I got all this crap back in, hooked up, ready. I gotta put those tabs in right there. And on this side, There we go. And now I'm ready to put my HVAC controls back in and getting close to being done with this thing. Awesome. So, I'll be honest, personally, I like the 12-inch screen better than the 13.2 just because it looks like more factory the way it sits back in the dash. If you want to go with the bigger screen, I think it comes over to like here and maybe just a little bit higher up, but I think either one will work fine. Just remember the APM from the 2021 won't work with the 13-inch screen. You got to get a 2023 APIM. Now this here, I'll put a link down below. This came from Amazon. It's like, I don't even know, $12. But I think this, I always liked this on my other one. So I put it back on. It looks great. Everything's back together and the screen is indeed working. Now, the next video is going to be about programming in the Ford system. And I'm still working out a few bugs on it. 99% of the things work well on it. There's a couple little things that are weird, and connectivity, I've been trying to figure that out too, as far as the hotspot. But man, it looks almost factory. Okay, so awesome. It's installed in the truck. As far as like the sides go, where the plastic is open on the sides, because it depends on where you put it, I use that back piece to kind of gauge where I wanted it to sit. Screwed it down, and then you can take rubber or plastic or anything that just fills that gap, play around with it, and that'll keep you from seeing any gaps in it. It's really not that noticeable. Everything's fires up. It's great. The cables are working. Next video is going to be programming it with ForScan, everything that I found out, all the nuances, a couple tips, hints about a 12-inch screen versus 13.2. There is a couple settings that are different. The splash screen, when it comes on, it was like off center because it was still a 13.2 APIM. So we're going to go through how to make that a 12-inch, all that other stuff with ForScan. But hopefully you're well on your way to having a bigger screen, a better boot up, and no more wireless adapters. Keep watching. We'll have the next video up here very shortly so you can get it programmed up. Any questions and comments, post them below. I'm David from the Redneck Garage. Keep turning wrenches.